The moment she asked him to pretend, his life tilted on its axis, because the request wasn't wrapped in romance or humor, but delivered with the quiet urgency of someone running out of time, and he felt the weight of it before he ever agreed. He was a single father who measured his days in school pickups and packed lunches, a man whose nights were filled with the soft breathing of his child in the next room and the ache of a life rebuilt from fragments. She was his boss, composed and precise, carrying a storm behind calm eyes, and when she laid out the truth, that her future, her company, and her family's expectations hinged on a year-long illusion, he understood that this wasn't about pretending love, it was about survival. The word husband hovered between them like a spark, and when he realized the arrangement would mean shared space, shared mornings, and a shared bed, he felt fear and hope collide in a way he hadn't felt since his world first broke apart. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet courage it takes to open your heart again, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel, Ripple of Kindness, because stories like this are meant to travel far beyond a single screen. They began the year with rules instead of promises, boundaries instead of affection, and a mutual understanding that neither of them could afford to fail. The apartment they chose was neutral and bright, all glass and clean lines, as if simplicity could protect them from complications. He brought with him a child who watched the world with cautious eyes, a little soul shaped by loss and longing, and she welcomed that child with a gentleness that surprised even her. Mornings became a choreography of coffee cups, school bags, and pressed suits, and nights were a careful negotiation of space and silence. The bed they shared was wide and respectful, an island where two strangers lay awake listening to each other's breathing, both haunted by different ghosts. He struggled with the guilt of modeling a lie for his child, and she struggled with the shame of needing one to keep everything she had built from collapsing. As weeks turned into months, the lie demanded more than paperwork and public appearances. Family dinners required laughter that didn't come easily, business events required a closeness that felt too real, and the child began to relax into a routine that looked dangerously like a family. He found himself noticing the way she softened after long days, how her strength was not an armor but a choice she made again and again. She noticed the tenderness in the way he listened, the patience he carried like a skill honed by sleepless nights and worry. Their challenges multiplied quietly, the fear of attachment, the risk of hurting a child, the pressure of pretending so well that the line between acting and being blurred beyond recognition. Each small victory, an approving nod from a skeptical board member, a smile from a child who finally slept through the night, came with a cost neither of them wanted to name. The turning point arrived not with a grand gesture but with exhaustion. One night after a day that had drained them both, the careful distance collapsed into shared vulnerability. Without words spoken, the truth of their lives pressed close. His grief for a partner lost and a future stolen, her loneliness in a world that rewarded competence but punished softness. The bed that had been a boundary became a refuge, not of passion, but of trust. From that night on, the house felt warmer, the routines more fluid, and the lie less heavy, even as it grew more dangerous. The child sensed the shift and began to bloom, laughing more freely, trusting more deeply, and that joy terrified them both because it raised the stakes of the year they had agreed to finish. Outside forces tested them relentlessly. Rumors circled, expectations tightened, and the ticking clock of their agreement grew louder with each passing month. He wrestled with the idea that he was borrowing happiness on credit, that at the end of the year, he would have to pack up not just his clothes but a version of life he had finally allowed himself to imagine. She faced the possibility that success achieved through deception would cost her the one thing she hadn't planned for, a family that felt real. Their struggles were quiet but intense, fought in sleepless nights and thoughtful silences. In the careful way they chose kindness even when fear urged retreat. As the final months approached, the illusion demanded a decision. The child's school play, a public celebration of family, forced them to confront the truth they had been avoiding. Sitting in a crowded auditorium, Watching a small figure on stage search the audience for familiar faces, they understood that pretending had changed them both. The year had taught them how to show up, how to choose patience over pride, how to risk again. The question was no longer whether they could keep pretending, but whether they could bear to stop. Near the end of the year, honesty finally found its voice, not as a dramatic confession, but as a shared understanding that the life they had built was worth fighting for. They faced consequences together, braced for judgment, and discovered that integrity, when paired with compassion, could reshape even the harshest outcomes. The company survived, not because of the lie, but because of the leadership she learned to practice with empathy. He found peace not by erasing his past, but by honoring it while stepping forward. And the child gained what they both had been afraid to promise: stability rooted in truth. If this story has touched your heart, if it has reminded you that love can grow in unexpected places, and that healing often begins with imperfect choices, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video so its message can reach someone who needs it today. Before the ending, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and tell us whether you believe a relationship that begins as a lie can transform into something real and lasting, because your thoughts are part of this story too. In the end, the year they feared became the foundation they needed, proving that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say yes to a chance you never planned for, and trust that kindness, once given room, knows how to turn pretending into belonging.